You want to play this sound of Mike McDaniel? So, Mike
No.
McDaniel.
No. If you're gonna ask me, the answer is no. But
Want everyone
sure.
to pay attention. It gets a little windy in here, as some of his answers do, but I think this will give you ultimate clarity on what is going on in Mike McDaniel's head when it comes to the backup quarterback position. That seems to be a topic that Solana had brought up earlier in the week, and then we've had kind of confirmation from Chris Perkins and others that, hey, this is not Mike White's job. Like, this seems to be a battle between Mike White and Skylar Thompson. And so Mike McDaniel's asked today about the backup quarterback role. Here is his quick and concise answer.
That competition is, I think, something I'm very proud of, in that those two competitors, really gave it their best shot last year, and I thought it was a pretty close race with Mike winning it, and they've continued to develop their games, so they continue to do really good things, and each individual, I think, is better than where they were last year. That's hugely important for quarterbacks, particularly ones that don't start or play during the season. That you don't want to regress, you want to improve. So, I see that as it's neck and neck, and far from me even thinking about who's gonna win that job. And I think that's a compliment, just because they're both developing very well, and it's I think that one of the tricky things are solving the problems of preseason games, in terms of you want to get guys opportunities, but they're also playing with different players and against different defenses, that your corresponding play calls are different. So how do you make the opportunities as equal as possible? Well, for me, I start, I try to have, I try to create a scenario where they get to work with the same players that are blocking and the same players that are receiving routes or getting handoffs. That's a little tricky, because you can't just play. There's a lot of position battles that need to be settled outside the quarterback position. So to do that, your best, for me, like, the best compromise is trying to get guys some rhythm, some ownership of the game, to see how they respond to ebbs and flows, but then also trying to get them in similar opportunities with their teammates. So the best of both worlds, a lot of times for me, is getting guys opportunities in several games, but then making sure that in those opportunities that a rhythm is established, that they have enough time to play. And that's kind of really the way I look at it. It's abstract, like most things, but you're trying to problem solve so you can give guys an opportunity to win the job.
What happened?
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's some clarity, because we're all curious, who's going to be the backup quarterback.
There was no periods. It was 3 commas, no periods.
It was a run-on sentence.
Wasn't it? He walks out of there and laughs every time he does that.
You think that's a glimpse on what's going on in his head? Everything's got motion with him. An offensive play or an answer to a pretty easy question, I thought. There's a lot of motion.
I think it's a glimpse of how he what his mind does.
I think so too. I
'Cause
think that's constantly what's going on in his head, which is what I think makes him kind of an offensive genius. Is I think he is constantly thinking about defense. It's like a chess master who's constantly thinking about what potential moves could be 18 steps ahead of what the actual move is at. And I think that's just how his brain works.
Yeah. I'll do this, but if I do this, he'll do that. But if I do this before he does that, then he might do that instead of this and that. And
Right.
that little.
And that's how you end up with all those funky motions.
Yes.
No, you're giving him too much credit. Truthfully,
You think that's you think that's just a confused guy?
No. He's not like dazed and confused, but he is a very smart football mind. I'm not disputing that at all. But also, some people are just ramblers. Like, he's just a rambler. That's not a bad thing.
But I think that's the way his brain works.
Yeah.
I think his brain rambles, but that's why he's good at what he does.
No, because you could be a football genius, which he is. He could look at plays and just guy knows it. But he gets in front of a microphone and he feels like he needs to give you whatever the hell that was, rather than just, there's an opportunity. Both guys need to get better. Like, that's all we needed to hear.
But the way, like to Hawk's point, the way his mind works is that, because like going through it, I did listen and I see what he's saying, but it's like, who's going to win the job? Well, they're both playing well, but there hasn't been consistency amongst them. But it's hard to put them on the field with the same guys every time because I can't just concentrate on the quarterbacks. I got to concentrate on everybody's position battle. So if I can put them, I can't really make a full answer right now on who's
right.
Like
because
they haven't been consistent.
As he's giving the answer, he's thinking to himself, but you know what? I can't really have one guy in the lead because one guy's playing with different personnel than the other guy is playing. So it's not really a fair comparison. Like, he's talking it out in his head. He's verbalizing what he's thinking about.
And to your point, Solana, there's a lot of coaches. He knew that question was coming. We talked about it yesterday. It was on the there's media people that know what's coming. There's coaches that say, hey, Harvey Green, we all know Harvey. Harvey walks up to a coach and says, hey, they're going to ask you about the backup quarterback battle today. Okay, I'm going to have the Solana answer. Honestly, when they say, hey, who's winning, Skyler or Mike? If they're both playing well, I'm still evaluating. That's my answer, period, point blank. I don't think he wants to do that. I think he really wants to give you an answer, but it's very confusing because he's a genius. Didn't he graduate from Yale?
Yeah.
I think so.
He's a smart dude.
He's a genius, and you just see geniuses' minds work a little different.
Okay, but take the context out of it, right? Just take the context of Mike McDaniel, Skylar Thompson, and Mike White, because we're entrenched in it being in Miami media. If I told you that an NFL head coach was asked about his backup quarterback battle and spent 5 minutes in his answer on the backup quarterback battle, you'd say, yeah, I'm not interested in that. Right?
Well, I wasn't interested in it when I just played it. I played it as a goof.
But that's my point. Like, he doesn't.
No, I'm saying, but I think it's a glimpse into his personality. I don't think it's shtick. I don't think he's just rambling. I think it's a glimpse into his personality.
And if my initial answer to answer your question, Lana, my initial answer was he has to walk out that meeting room and laugh what he just put the media through, but not with Mike McDaniel, because we had him on the pivot. I've talked to him before. I don't think he rambles. I think his mind runs.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a glimpse into his brain, how it functions.
Like, what do you
want? Which is why, by the way, how many times they get dinged for not getting the play in on time, and then they don't get the play off on time? It's because of that.
I think when Mrs. McDaniel says, what do you want for dinner tonight, Mike? I think the answer is 4 minutes long.
Right. I think I want meatloaf, although how can I say that I want meatloaf if I've never really even tried your eggplant parmesan? So maybe there is something that I would prefer over the meatloaf. And you know what I mean? Where and that's legit. Like that's legitimately how he's thinking.
Yep.
Whereas I would just go anything but stuffed peppers. Different personalities.
A gift and a curse.
A gift and a curse.
I really do think it is.
Less is more, gentlemen.
But it's not. He's not making a
Okay.
choice. It's just that's just who he is.
To less is more thought, Solana. As a media member now, and you do it, your boots on the ground and all this, you actually go to these things. Me and Hawk just sit back and talk about it. Would you want a Belichick or a Mike McDaniel? Because Belichick gives you less is more if you really want it.
I'll go with Mike McDaniel every day.
Yeah, I guess I would go with Mike McDaniel. But he's also not a D-bag. Like, he's a good dude,
Yeah.
Belichick would treat you like you're like, he was a D-bag to the media.
You asked for a Belichick answer. If you asked Belichick the same question, he would have said, I'm evaluating both of them. We'll figure it out before the season starts.
Yeah, but maybe there's a happy medium here, gentlemen. I'm sorry, but I don't want 5 minutes on the backup quarterback battle. I also don't want 6 seconds on the backup quarterback battle. I want like a happy medium.
All right.
Your marriage isn't going to work.